Hey, do you guys ever look at the show notes for a podcast episode? And I'm asking you this because that's not one of the first things I do. There's many podcasts that I've never actually looked at their show notes. Well, if you have noticed, like I refer to the show notes, I spend time putting a summary together, and I've kind of changed a little bit of how I do them. And one of the things that I've done is I've started putting a journal question in there for you. Now, one of the reasons why I've put it in there is because I typically think of the journal question after I've done recording the episode. And so that's why it's not in the podcast. I'm going to start looking to see, okay, if I can plan ahead and put it in there for you. But I'd like you to just start looking. And if you want a journal question, if you want to go deeper, if you need something, an action step for the podcast, look in the show notes and get that journal question. And then let me know if you like it or not, or if this is something that even you want to use. So with that, let's dive in. Hey, and welcome to the Full Weight of Joy podcast, the podcast for women who are done stressing about the weight of the world, of expectations and settling for status quo, and ready to step into the full weight of joy. Joy in the journey, whether up or down, joy through the life's challenges, and joy in loving your life right where you are, even though sometimes we feel like chucking it all and moving to Bali. It's for women who are ready to step into who God called them to be. He chose you to be in this world. He created you for a specific purpose. God called us to be the light on a hill, and by embracing who you are and whose you are, you can stand on that hill and shine. The best part, when you're standing next to another woman who's also on the journey, the world gets brighter. My name is Tami. I am your host and a master certified life coach and a trained therapist. For over a decade, I've been helping women do just that. Step into who they're called to be and shine. Are you ready, friend, to start your journey? Let's do this. You ever so stressed that you can't even think straight? That you kind of get paralyzed in the moment, or you can't think of the next thing to do because you've got 12 things that need to be done. Well, this is where we're going today. This is what we're going to talk about. I got this great question from Sherry, who asked, she said, Tami, how do I cultivate a growth mindset if I'm too busy and too stressed to even do it? And so I thought this was a great question because in the question itself, there's already a glimpse of the answer. And I just wanted to talk to you today because I don't know if we ever have just one thing going on in our lives. We always are wearing multiple hats. We always have, if for every person we have in our life that we're responsible for, we have a multitude of responsibilities, like a multitude of tasks and a multitude of things that we have to do for them, right? And all of these things, we're just one person. So I want to answer the question the very quick way of, how do you cultivate a growth mindset when you're already too stressed? You already are. By asking that question, give yourself some grace here, because just by looking at the question a different way and saying, oh, I'm too stressed to do it, that is a very fixed mindset. As I'm just too stressed. I don't have time. I can't do this right now. That is a fixed mindset. When you're asking, okay, how is this possible? How can I create this and cultivate this growth mindset when I've already got so many things going on? You're already starting to look at it from a different perspective. These things that I talk about, they're really not as hard as they may seem. They may seem out of reach for a moment. They may seem like a pie in the sky and this ideal of I can live fulfilled and impactful and joyful in my everyday life. I can thrive right where I am without really, making drastic changes in my life, without chucking it all, moving to Bali, without, giving it up and, just saying to your family, I'm done, right? The thing is that we made these choices. We have this life. What part of your life do you really love? I love my people. I love my kids. I I do not love the stage of development we are in, but I actually kind of do. Like I like the fact that they are questioning more. And I also don't like the fact they're questioning more. But by looking at things differently, by stepping back and asking you like, okay, how can I do this in spite of the fact that I'm so busy? That right there, you're starting to develop a growth mindset. We try to add rules, we try to make it and define it in such a complicated way. When we add complication to it, it gives our brains permission to go into safety mode. It gives our brains permission to paralyze and to stay stuck. And by asking this question, is how do I do this? You're already opening the door to the answer. So that's Sherry, that is the question. That's the answer I'm going to give you to your question. But I'm also going to go a little deeper because I know that the question behind the question is what can I do about all this stress in order to have a good mindset, in order to have a growth mindset, in order to start not being so stressed. So that's the one I will answer now because I know if I was asking that question, that's what I would want. So the first thing is the idea of the growth mindset. And I know this question was based on the previous podcast that I did about there's nothing said about our minds. So go and listen to that podcast if you haven't yet. And then you can come back where it'll just add some extra elements. I don't want to go into all of that as deep because today is going to be a short podcast. I want to get down and dirty and give you some tips. When we're developing the growth mindset, we're not doing it out of stress. We're partnering with what we have going on. We're partnering with we're getting clear about what are our values? What are our priorities? And what do we want from this situation? What do I want to learn? And this is where looking at this, what's causing you stress? Like write it down and be specific about, okay, like if you need help, like in your family life, what is causing you stress? In your personal life, in your fitness, in your finances, in your work, in your spiritual life. The first thing we need to do is we need to get clear on what actually is causing the stress, this overwhelm that we're experiencing. Is it the sheer volume of things that we have to do? Or is it the fact that we are unbalanced in this season of we're spending more time, our priorities have shifted in that the things that we value the most, family and community and connection, actually have to take a back seat for a short time because this thing at work or this other circumstance we're dealing with needs to take more of my energy. If that's the case, see, these are by breaking it down and by looking at, okay, what is the stress? What's the stress behind the stress? What is the question? What is the answer? What are the things that are stressing us out? Then we're able to now pick it apart and reframe them. We're able to look and say, okay, if it is simply the sheer volume of things that I have going on, write them down and then ask yourself, what can someone else do? Or what can I just call, email, text, send a carrier pigeon and say, I'm sorry, this is not something that I'm able to do right now. This is not something that I thought I was able to do this. I'm going to have to take it off my plate. And you can delegate it. What can you delegate? If it's the sheer volume, also, like when you write the stuff down, like circle the things that go with your priorities. If going to being at every practice is a high priority for you, then making sure that the other things is, well, maybe that means that you need to have HelloFresh send meals during this season. And so you can still balance the home cooked meals and, healthy and not eating out. Or if being at every practice and being at everything your child does is your priority, maybe that this season, it does mean it looks like eating out a little bit more, which means that, okay, how does that affect my finances? So it's all about a balancing game and looking at so many times when you start writing down all of the things that you have to do, when you see them in black and white, or purple. I like writing in purple. But when you see them clearly written, you're able to say, oh, I don't actually need to do that until next week. Let's not worry about that. Oh, I don't, that's already done. I already took care of that. Why am I worried about that? So when you see it written down, you're able to see it from a different lens. So when you're stressed, the first thing you do is identify what is stressing you out. Is it because you have so many things? Like this is I was feeling overwhelmed and stressed. And I realized it's because I have so many things in this season. I have a lot of things that are due or things that are coming, it's coming up tax season. It's coming up birthdays. It's coming, my sister is coming in town, which I'm so excited about. So it's not all bad stressors, but I was looking, it's all coming together at one time. And so then I'm like, oh, because of all the things, I have not spent time at the gym that I need to, which means that I had to be okay with getting up 30 minutes earlier every morning so I can actually get that done. Because when I do that, I know that I can fill in the rest of the gaps. So identifying your stress is really one of the best things that you can do right now, and write things down and then just ask yourself, what can I delegate? What has to be done right now? And what am I adding that is actually not even a priority or a value that I can take off my list right now, and I don't even have to delegate it. Our brains are so good at adding extra things to our to-do list to make sure that we stay in inaction. Don't let that stop you. You're the boss of your brain. Stress is a choice. And I know I'm here at the end of this episode, so I don't want to get into this too much. I will do a podcast episode on that. But the thing here is that when you write down all of the stressors that you have, then you can make a plan. You can see it with clear eyes. Your brain is not meant to keep all of these things, these short-term tasks swimming. When you write them down, that's where you empower yourself the choice of, okay, does this even matter? Is this important? Is this even worth stressing about? When I realized that I was feeling a little overwhelmed about getting things ready for my sister to come, she hasn't been here in 2 years. So I'm really excited. And the kids I'm going to be excited when they find out that we're picking her up from the airport, and my my niece and nephews. But I was making it a bigger deal than she doesn't expect anything except a clean bed and some food. And even then, she's going to help with that. So by writing it down and realizing that it was actually excitement and not stress, and the fact that I was like, okay, what do I need to get done so I can spend time with her? Oh, well, if I do this, this, and this, and move this over and cancel this, it all, like, the stress lifted, and I was able to see that I was actually really excited about her coming. We throw buckets, throw information, throw feelings into buckets of stress, overwhelmed, anxiety, and fear. And when we don't define things, they control us. And that's what I mean by stress is a choice. Are you allowing the things in your life to control you? Or are you able to manage your emotions enough to say, okay, Tami, this may be important, but I don't need to do it myself. Okay. Cleaning off the guest room and doing sheets and towels. Oh, wait, I have teenagers. They can do that. I'm going to tell them, I'm going to put it on the whiteboard for them to do so they can cross it off when it's done. And then I'm going to release that from my brain. And I'm no longer going to stress about that. Ask yourself these questions, and you're going to see that the stress response that you're in, it won't be as bad. It won't be as strong. It won't be as debilitating when you can see it clearly for what it is. So what I'm asking you, Sherry, is go through, and when you are stressed, when you feel like you have all these things going on, write them all down. Ask yourself which one's important, which ones you can take off, which ones you can delegate. Ask really what you're feeling about them. Are you annoyed that one of these things are on your list and you don't want to do? There's many times that I have actually realized that it's not stress. I'm annoyed. I don't want to do this. So I have to figure out, okay, is it something that I have to do or something that I can delegate or just throw out and say, I'm sorry that I can't meet this expectation or I'm not able to go to this event. Today, I did not go to a lunch because, and I was looking forward to it. I enjoyed the lunch. It's not typically the best food, but so I don't go for the food. If the food was better, I definitely would make it more often. Sometimes I joke, but it's true. But it's, I was, I had other things that I needed to do and I was kind of annoyed at myself and feeling stressed because I had that was in the middle and it's a 20-minute drive each way. So it's 40 minutes plus it's an hour and a half. And I'm like, wait a minute. If I just not show up, there's very little consequence other than the fact that I lost $20, which I do not like losing money. I don't like spending money that it's not necessary. It's not good for my budget. It's not good for my mental health. However, losing that $20 and staying here and focusing on what was important to me actually gave me, when you look at hour and a half plus 40, I mean, we're looking at 2.5 hours, right? A little more, almost 3 hours. Hour and a half. Yeah, 3 hours, 2 hours. Anyway, you do the math. I'm not here to do math for you. But yeah, almost 3 hours by the time I getting ready, getting back home and getting into work mode. But it allowed me to have that time simply by deciding, and I didn't have to tell anybody. I just decided for myself, that's what can go. And it went. And I feel really good about my decision. And in fact, I'm getting ready to head into another call. And I feel good about that. I feel rested. I feel like I didn't go from one call to the next because I was able to cut that out of my life, out of my schedule. So, Sherry, and all of you listening, by asking that question of how do I cultivate a growth mindset when I'm feeling so stressed? First of all, just rest the fact that you are already working on it. It's already happening because of the question you asked. And then, practical tip, write down everything that's stressing you. Everything that comes to my brain, dump it, and then organize it into whatever way you need to see. And then, is it worthy of the energy, the stress that you're giving it? If it's not, then what is the true feeling that that you have for this? And what can you take off your list? What can you delegate? And what can you get done in 5 minutes that you've been meaning to do forever? All right, I hope this was helpful. I cannot wait to talk with you. So I have an opportunity for you. I know many times that you're just like, Tami, I need a plan. I want a strategic outlook. I want to see what I'm good at. I don't know. I'm stuck. I need a plan. Well, I have a plan for you. I have an introductory strategic assessment. It is the link in there will give you more information about it. It'll give you step by step what it does, but you'll take an assessment, you'll fill out a questionnaire. I will compile it. So it is easy on your part, and I will compile it and create an insight plan of growth for you. ISA, it is open to any new clients. So if you want to talk with me for 20 minutes and then do it, we can do that. However, if you're really just done with feeling stuck and you need a next step, this ISA is the thing for you. I'm loving them. My clients are loving them because you actually will have a tangible document with a path for you. These next steps, these areas of growth, an insight to your strengths and your gifts and your core avoidances, your motivations. So it's just a practical document that is based on your needs. So if you're interested in that, in the show notes, there's a link. You can get into it and you can, it really is easy, but it's a lot of fun. And the experience, the light, the weight that's lifted from my clients who have done this and who have that tangible document, because we all love to see something. It's something you can walk away with, the feedback has been really great. And so so I just want to offer that to you. Link in the show notes, and I can't wait to talk with you. So with that, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.